who GNU that this would be a good outcome for international relations. In the late hours of Sunday night, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the cabinet for the 7th administration. Many across the country, and most probably the African continent and other parts of the world, were quite interested with the balancing act Ramaphosa and the African National Congress would have to perform given the outcome of the recent national and provincial elections. An outcome herein, albeit the ANC remained the largest political party, it however failed to receive a decisive majority for the first time since 1994. The ANC invited all parties to join the government of national unity. Some, like the Economic Freedom Fighters and the MK parties, preferred to join but with the conditions that the ANC refused to meet. The Democratic Alliance willingly took up the invitation and dropped its various demands, but preferred to try and squeeze the ANC in the negotiations on the composition of the cabinet. Their public negotiations stance, although at times backed by various media publications, because of its salacious and sensationalist content, was not able to meet the DA's targets. Indeed, the macro approach by the DA worried progressive internationalists across the country. In the GNU, there were at least two parties, the DA and the Patriotic Alliance, who have been openly pro-Israel and pro-Western. Whereas the South African government had spent the best part of 30 years including SA's reputation of being a straight shooter in the international arena that does not play to the powers that be, whether they are found in the West or the East, and the country placed Africa and human rights at the center of its intents. The international approach of the South African government not only won its plaudits from other governments and multilateral bodies, but also ordinary activities, especially in Europe and the United States, who found great affinity with the South African views on matters. The major concern, though, in particular, joined the International Relations Ministry, even if it was at a deputy ministerial position. The DA's foreign relations stance and approach is not at variance to the ANC's, but one could describe it as antithetical. The DA's foreign relations stance and approach is not just a variance of the ANC's, but one could describe it as antithetical. To support the United States-led West uber alles. Therefore, if the DA was appointed to the International Relations Ministries, diplomatic engagements would really suffer. There ran a real risk for potential representatives in South Africa would be at odds with the South African staff at the various multilateral forums. South Africa's reputation would be greatly harmed, and reputation in diplomatic circles is crucial. The incumbent Minister of International Relations, who had been the face of South Africa's courage and commitment to a better world, Dr. Naledi Pandor, did not make it onto the parliamentary list because the ANC had not received enough votes. There was concerns that what would happen on the portfolio. There was hope that possibly the president would decide to appoint Dr. Pandor on one of his two parliamentary members of cabinet. But those hopes when a video was released of Dr. Pandor saying goodbye to the department and international relations and cooperation staff across the globe. It was clear she would not go for the lengths if there was even a hint of her reappointment. The Sunday night cabinet announcement revealed that the ANC placed a high premium international relations. The minister and the two deputy ministers are all from the ANC, with Ronaldo Lamola as the minister and returning the impressive Alvin votes as deputy minister, joined by Thandi Moraka as the second deputy minister. Therefore, despite communities that claim solidarity with the Palestinian struggle and they not have support the ANC in the elections, South Africa's support for Palestine, as the example, was not transactional or in the hope of getting votes, highly commendable. Together with DJ's Anne Danger, is credited by Panda of suggesting that South Africa take the government of Israel to the International Court of Justice. He is an inspired choice. We expect that he will work very well with Bots and Moraka. All these are young and exciting choices and will bring fresh energy to the portfolio. Thus, even with the GNU balancing and the loss of Dr. Pando, the ANC and Ramaphosa were clear. South Africa's foreign policy stance is to remain, therefore its involvement in BRICS continues, and the centrality of African development as well as the importance of human rights. Pardon's approach on Israel, in which South Africa worked within BRICS and other multifunctional bodies, was one that balanced both power with a caring and moral approach. We can even call it Ubuntu. However, the new team may not have to trade some of that Ubuntu for some real. The developments in Ukraine have meant that China and Russia have become exceptionally close. Simultaneously, the reason of the United States, not just towards Russia, but especially China, has created the conditions for a world economic crisis. China has been preparing for this for a while. For instance, it has decreased its incoming oil in favor of Russia initially, but lately it has increased its importance from the Middle East, that is Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates. Lamola and his team will have to conclude how it has leveraged the political relationships into a serious, meaningful trade partnership, which recognizes African underdevelopment and does not rescue South Africa and other African countries to become anti-West. It is a tough task, but in manner of speaking, the international relations portfolios have fortuitously benefited with a team that could be a little more peaceful, a lot more strategic. We have a lot to look forward to. GNU. And that's it from Injibs Network. Stay tuned to our celebrity and gossip news.